Due to a lack of proper knowledge, that woodcutter also suffered a lot. But by then, time had slipped through his hands like sand. Buddha, while narrating the story of a woodcutter to his disciples, said, "One day, a king went to the forest to hunt and lost his way. He searched for the path for a long time, but couldn't find it. He was very tired, hungry, and thirsty. Then he saw a woodcutter cutting wood in the forest. Many trees had already been cut, only a few were left. He was dropping the branches of one tree down. The king went to him and said, 'Brother, I am very hungry. I am also very thirsty. Do you have something to eat?' The woodcutter replied, 'Yes, I do. Come and sit here. There is a well nearby. I will fetch water from there. You eat this bread and take out a big piece of bread from the bag.' There were some vegetables in it too. The king ate it. He drank the water brought by the woodcutter and calmly said, 'I am the king of a big city nearby. I came here to hunt but lost my way. You showed me the path. When I leave, remember that you have helped me in times of trouble. If you ever need anything, come to me. I will definitely help you.' Some time passed like this. Slowly, all the trees in that forest were finished. The woodcutter used to cut wood and sell it in the form of logs. Now, how can he sustain his livelihood? He has become very sad. With a heavy heart, he reached the king. The servants informed the king that the woodcutter wants to meet him. The king remembered that, yes, he had promised to help a woodcutter. One day, he saved my life. He ordered the soldiers to bring him to his presence. The servant brought the woodcutter to the king. The king asked, 'Why, brother woodcutter? What is the matter? Why are you sad?' The woodcutter replied, 'Your Majesty, the forest from where I used to cut wood has come to an end. There is not even a single tree left there. Now I have no other means of livelihood, so I have come to seek your shelter. There are many forests in your kingdom. If I can find a small jungle from there, then I can survive hunger.' The king said, 'Your problem will surely be resolved.' After he left, the king called his ministers and sought advice on what should be given to this woodcutter. After consulting, it was decided that the forest of sandalwood trees in the south of the city should be given to woodcutters. Officials were called. That forest of sandalwood trees was named after the woodcutter, and he was informed that from today onwards, this forest belongs to him. Many years passed. One day, the king was sitting in his palace when the woodcutter came to his mind. With happiness, he thought that now the woodcutter must have become a very wealthy person. He must have become a very rich person. He must have built many big buildings and palaces, so we should go and see them. The king went to that forest with his ministers where the wood was given, but there was no construction there. The king anxiously asked his ministers, 'Hey, where is that forest where the wood was given? Is it somewhere else? You have brought me to the wrong place.' The ministers looked at the officials. The officials examined the papers and said, 'Your Majesty, that forest was indeed in the same place.' The king said, 'Then where did it go?' After searching, some sandalwood trees were seen at a distance. A woodcutter sitting among them was also seen. Disappointed and sad, the king went to him and asked, 'Hey, why are you worried?' The woodcutter bowed and said, 'O provider of food, thanks to your grace, so many years have passed. Now only a few trees are left. They will also end in a few days. I'm thinking, what will I do after that?' The king said in surprise, 'The trees are still standing. What happened to the other trees?' The woodcutter replied, 'I cut wood every day, make charcoal, and sell it in the market.' Upon hearing this, the king hit his head and sadly said, 'Oh, unfortunate one, what have you done? This was sandalwood. Why did you turn it into charcoal?' The woodcutter said, 'What is sandalwood anyway?' The king replied, 'It would have been good if you knew. Now cut a few more logs and sell them in the market, but don't turn them into charcoal.' The woodcutter did as instructed. A shopkeeper saw the wood and realized it was sandalwood, and the woodcutter seemed poor. Seeing this, he said, 'What will you take for this?' The woodcutter asked, 'What will you give?' The shopkeeper said, "Rs1. The woodcutter shouted in surprise, "Only Rs1? That was the meaning of the small piece of wood being worth Rs1. The shopkeeper understood and said, "RS2." The woodcutter shouted in surprise again, "RS2." The shopkeeper panicked and said, "Okay, RS4." The woodcutter shouted, "All right, 4." A little further, another shopkeeper was standing. He saw that the first shopkeeper was buying a valuable item at a low price. He called out to him and said, "Hey, come here, I'll give you RS10." When the woodcutter heard the name of RS10, he held his head and sat down, crying. He put his head on his knees and started crying. Now he realized that the wood he had been turning into charcoal was very valuable. He destroyed a great fortune with his own hands. As Gautam Buddha concluded the story, he said to his disciples, "You must feel pity for the foolishness of that woodcutter. But listen, my disciples, we ourselves are also like that woodcutter. The kings of kings, the Supreme Father God, gave us this courageous and precious life for reasons unknown. But we have burnt it and turned it into ashes with our wrong desires, hatred, and the fire of sin. We have not understood the value of these breaths, this forest, abundant with the fragrance of breaths, which we have turned into coal by burning it in the fire of our work, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. But what had to happen has happened. Now it cannot be reversed. Now let us make proper use of the little time left, which is like sandalwood trees, and fill our lives with peace, happiness, and prosperity. Thank you.